Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Witness and I'm your host, Qatrina Hussain. Well, today, Britain's Prime Minister David Cameron visited Pakistan for the first time since he took office in May. And his visit has far-reaching consequences for Pakistan's trade, education and national security. That's essentially what the news reports regarding his visit are saying. Definitely some highlights to his visit. He spent a lot of time in educational endeavors, if I want to put it that way. He visited ComStats, he visited a girls' school, he visited educational institutions, and there are some commitments that have been made, and let's take a quick look at those. When he addressed a joint press conference with Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani, Mr. Cameron said Pakistan needs trade rather than aid. We definitely agree with that. Apart from that, the fact issues that were discussed was to give Pakistan more access. A lot of other points that were important, but education seems to be the cornerstone of Britain's policy to Pakistan. And that is an area where certainly Pakistan needs all the help it can get. But were there any shortcomings? Were there any surprises in this visit? And we'll take a look at that. But apart from that, there's also another situation that prevails across the country, and that is something that we have been talking about for a long time. It doesn't seem to really have any impact, and that is the crisis of governance. Apart from the doctors' strike that is going on nationwide, I believe that the strike has been withdrawn in Islamabad at least, but has spread to other cities. Karachi's hospitals and doctors are now on strike as well. And this is a disastrous situation for the country, the people who really need medical care. As it is, our medical facilities are so limited, so strained, and a strike really puts people in a crisis situation. Very few people can afford private health care. And the doctor strike is not the only one. If you just pick up the newspapers for the past couple of weeks or even a couple of months, you will find that on an alternate day basis, there is a strike somewhere in Pakistan. Whether it is in a city where traders are on strike, or whether it is in an industrial town where the laborers are on strike, or whether it is lady health workers being on strike, it just shows a general malaise that is just hanging over the country. So where are our provincial governments? Where is our federal government? What exactly is going on? Whom do we look to for our future? That's what also going to be the focus of our visit, of our talk today. So allow me to introduce my guest, but first of all, of course, we're going to talk about David Cameron's visit. My first guest in the studio, Shahnaz Wazir Ali, an MNA from the Pakistan People's Party, and of course, Ms. Wazir Ali, you are very involved with the task force, which I will talk to you about the legality and the status of that task force at this point. And Dr. Humayun Mohmand, who is from Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. We welcome you for the first time to our program. We appreciate it. To the Secretary of the Party's International Affairs wing. And we will be joined later in the program by Khurram Dastagir, an MNA from the Pakistan Muslim League N. But Ms. Wazir Ali, I'll begin with you. Regarding Mr. Cameron's visit, no major surprises really that we were expecting Britain to be focusing on education. But any pleasant or unpleasant surprises in his visit?
No, I don't think there were any unpleasant surprises. In fact, I think this has been a very, very positive, very productive and a very successful visit. This visit focused, as you just mentioned, on three main areas, on a set of discussions around security and the war on terror, and on economic trade and investment, which was a very, very important issue for Pakistan, and which the United Kingdom has been very supportive by taking up the issue in the European Union on free trade access. And education, which he in fact said was the most important part of his program.
Right, that I said is a cornerstone apparently
I think so. Clearly, he spoke about it at length, he showed conviction and he showed commitment. This is going to be DFID, which is the Department for International Development's largest aid program anywhere in the world for education. UK has more than doubled its assistance to Pakistan, taking it up to 650 million sterling, which translates into about $1.1 billion over a 4-year period. And this
which includes books and schools and teachers.
Well, it includes several things. I think if we take a look at the broader effort is that Pakistan has, while it is making, certainly, Pakistan is committed to the Millennium Development Goals, and we will have to make a lot of effort to reach them.
I have to interrupt you there because our commitment to the Millennium Development Goals is a bit of a joke now.
No, I don't think it's a joke, Katrina. I think what we have to do is we have to recognize the reality. The reality is that despite all the effort, and there has been effort at the level of the provincial governments and the federal government, but despite all the efforts, we will not achieve the Millennium Development Goals in 2015. Now, this is a fact because every single child that had to finish class 5 should have been in school a year and a half
Exactly.
ago, right?
Yeah.
So we know that. I think the
Yeah,
facts on the
I'm sorry,
ground.
I didn't mean just MDG
But,
regarding education. I meant MDG overall,
Well, overall,
in terms of water
but I
and
think,
clean drinking
but I
water and all
think
that.
that you're absolutely on target by saying that there really needs to be a high level of attention.
Well, let's not divert
towards
to the other
MDGs.
MDG. Let's stay with education
And we
right
only
now.
talked about the MDG, which relates to education. And on education, the Prime Minister from the United Kingdom said that we are committed to Pakistan in a long-term relationship, in an unbreakable relationship. We've had long historic relations with Pakistan, and we see education as a central pillar of the strategy for economic growth and productivity, for social cohesion and stability, and obviously for long-term sustainable growth, and so do we.
Yeah.
And
now,
a fight against militancy also has
everything, because
all
whenever
of
we
these.
talk about problems, we talk about education. Just briefly before I come to you, Dr. Mohmand, just to repeat, it's a 4-year program. And Britain's assistance will see 4 million children go to school, train 90,000 teachers, and provide 6 million textbooks by 2015. But Pakistan had better do its bit in matching up
yes,
with that.
let me clarify. 7.5 million children today are not going to primary school across the country. So if the aid, which is grant, as you know, from the United Kingdom to Pakistan, assists in putting 4 million children into school, both in urban and rural areas across Pakistan, and in every case, every province has its own particular, very specific plan for doing that.
I want to come to the breakdown
then
later.
I
so
think
just
the
generally.
remaining 3.5 million, or almost 4 million kids who will be out of school, which are still out of school, is obviously important for us to ensure that we have an approach that captures all the children out of school.
Yeah.
DFID will support almost 50% of them getting into school. Yeah. But certainly we need, and I would say this, that this is Pakistan's #1 challenge in the education sector. Yeah. To ensure, because the demand is there. It's not that parents don't want to send their children to school, they do. There are supply side issues, which are management, reform, governance reform, better utilization of allocations, low allocations.
Most people can't even afford the 50
But I would say
Dr.
this,
Mohmand?
Qatrina, if you allow me just 1 second, is that the government, through the parliament, has made a very, very historical commitment in the 18th Amendment by saying in Article 25A that all children aged 5 to 16 years of age are to be given education by the state, to be ensured education by the state. So now it has become a fundamental right, a constitutional fundamental right, as opposed to being either a privilege or a mention in the principles of policy.
And of course, now it also becomes incumbent upon the state. Dr. Mohmand, of course, Mr. Cameron's visit, how do you view it? Do you think it was a foreign policy coup for the government of Pakistan?
Well, generally, if you see the visit, yes, it would bring a good impact towards Pakistan, because being the head of the state of an influential country, it was good. But he has clearly mentioned that what we need to do, we need to make sure that we fight with the corruption. He has categorically mentioned that we have to broaden our tax net. He has said that we have to improve our governance. Without all these things, no matter what we do, yes, with the Article 25A included in the Constitution, we have given the rights of every child from 5 to 16 to have a free education. But if you see your actions, you are reducing your budget for education from 2.5% in 2006 to 7 to 2% in 2009, and then to 1.5% by 2010-11. Now this clearly shows that your direction is totally opposite to what you are saying.
Yeah, skewed.
And when it comes to the corruption and when it comes to the governance, you have rightly mentioned that if you see wherever in Pakistan, you will see strikes, you will see disharmony between the society, you will see that people are being agitated. And now, you know, every year we see that there will be no load shedding, but yet we see again even more than before. So overall, it's nice to say so many good things, but if I don't see those things really happening, I start doubting your intentions. I start doubting the government's intention of Are they really sincere in doing this, or they are just, giving us the sort of concept that, all is well?
Now,
I think just to take up, I think these are very important issues that Dr. Saab is talking about. I mean, clearly we know that the tax to GDP ratio, 9%, is amongst the lowest in the world. But the government of Pakistan has already embarked on a tax and revenue mobilization program. And it is not just because the Prime Minister of the UK visited Pakistan that we suddenly are looking at tax revenue mobilization.
We've been looking at it ever since the IMF told us to.
We have been looking at it over several years, and the Pakistan People's Party government, as you know, last year initiated the discussion, the consultations on the RGST. Now, and you also know that there was a lot of opposition, but despite the opposition, we took the bitter pill and we said we must go for enhancing the tax to revenue GDP, tax to GDP base. In the RGST, there were some issues with various industrial sectors, but I think the fact is that we know, and everybody knows in this country, that unless you enhance revenues, you are not going to have the funds to spend on education or health or water or nutrition or any of the developments. So this government has made its effort. It started its efforts in the year 2009. I think what is important is that all of us jointly must recognize that the tax base enhancement means everybody must pay their taxes.
Ms. Wazirali, if I don't think I would be wrong if I would say that the general perception, I'm not saying reality, the general perception in Pakistan is that the increase in taxes and trying to get more money from the people. For example, let me just give you an